hiccup for you too?
It did. You're very hiccupy.
Oh, good. I have all my bars, and my son's streaming in the other room, so we might have some fun tonight.
It's good. I've got. Hey, look at me. I'm full signal tonight for once.
Hi,
It's
Jack.
nice.
How you doing?
I'm good, Frank. How about yourself?
You know, I'm all right. I'm here.
Good. There's no place I'd rather be.
That's the same. I knew you were so busy today, and you didn't get back to me. And I was like, oh no, are we gonna postpone again? That'd be
No.
fun. No.
No. I was just
I
out in the field traveling today, so I was a lot of driving and on the phone.
Yeah, I figured. I was going to start off with a little Ooga Chaka for real, but I don't want to get us banned immediately.
Yeah, it's a temperamental thing to go with from a site standpoint. Sometimes they catch you. Oh, look, I just got an alert the other day that Facebook flagged one of my, or Sony flagged one of my live streams from 2020.
Oh, that's
during the pandemic. It was like, this part of this has been blocked because it sounds like a song of ours.
Oh wow. Well, at least they're catching up on it.
It's great when they do that.
Since Sony and Konami are about to enter into a big deal, but we can talk about that in a minute.
Oh, sweet. I don't know if we have that. The other big deal about Blizzard.
No, I don't have that. So you can.
You know what I mean, though, right?
I don't.
Not Blizzard.
You mean the Activision thing?
Activision, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But first, how was your weekend?
It was good. Good. Had a couple gigs.
Yeah.
Pretty mellow gigs. One was like a private event out at a campground. Dom, Charles, Mom, hi. How y'all doing? By the way,
everyone.
They both pretty low key gigs. Went and saw a couple bands after I was done Friday. Went and saw the Zone.
Ooh,
I remember E-House for a little bit. I'm filling in with them starting in June for weekend.
Nice.
And then I went and saw Flippin' Mickey's.
Oh, I thought. Hey, Dylan, I thought when you texted me that you sang with, I thought he came to see you.
No, I went and popped out and saw them. Little local Irish cover band in the area, so that was fun. Did that, watched some stuff. Finally got to catch up on Dungeons and Dragons. Now that dropped on my TV at home, I got that. Yellow Jackets is back. You're sleeping on Yellow Jackets. Stop. Go watch it. No, Yellowstone's awful. Yellow Jackets is one of the best shows on TV. Go watch Yellow Jackets if you are behind. There's still like 3 episodes left this season, I think.
I'm behind on everything.
It is totally worth getting Showtime for, at least the trial. But it is a fantastic show all around. And then our wonderful CW shows. I mean, we're gonna have to talk Gotham Knights tonight.
You can talk Gotham Knights.
For our boy Matt, he's been waiting patiently for you to catch up on the best Batman show with Knights in the title on the CW right now.
That's what he says.
Yeah, it's not the best show with Gotham in the title ever, because Gotham is leaps and bounds better than this show. But anyway, how about you, man? What did you do this weekend?
I had a very, very low-key weekend. I went to see a movie in the theater. First time in a long time I've done that, since Top Gun, I think.
It's not true.
What else did I see in the theater?
Black Panther?
Oh, shit, that's right. Yeah. So, first time since Black Panther that I've been to the movie theater. Oh, hey, Dom's.
Oh, look at that. That's fancy, Dom.
Look at that. Thank you, Dom. So, Dom's anticipating our Guardians review, which is going to come in about 10, 15 minutes or so. We're gonna go through a couple little bit of newsy things, but my weekend was low key. I didn't go out to see any bands. I didn't go out at all, really. I went over to Edge's and we watched the pay-per-view WWE Backlash, which was live from Puerto Rico for the first time in, I think, 18 years. I think that is the first time they've been down there for like a major event like this.
Oh.
And
I haven't been to Puerto Rico lately.
No, but I'll touch on that real fast, just at first. So they've been doing a lot of your camera went out.
Here, don't worry.
Gotcha. They've been doing a lot of events with Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny is like the most popular musical or entertainer like in the world. He's got something like 46 million subscribers on YouTube. It's got an insane amount of fans. So they did this. They did their pay-per-view from Puerto Rico, and then they had there's a lot of there's a lot of good stuff in it. couple old school people made a return. Carlito came out.
Carlito? I don't. He's not that old school because I don't remember him.
Carlito with the afro, he chewed the apple and he would spit into their faces with the apple. Savio Vega showed up, which was pretty awesome. Overall, it was a pretty good pay-per-view. The crowd was really, really into it, which was really nice to see. That was pretty much my weekend. I didn't really go out and do anything else.
That's good.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the newsy stuff, the writer's strike is really
jamming things up.
Yeah, a little bit. The writer's strike is not the reason that Yellowstone's ending. Kevin Costner is the reason that this iteration of Yellowstone is ending, but the next series has already been picked up.
That's great. Good riddance. Maybe the next one won't suck.
We don't know. It's got a November release date for the second half of season 5. Yet, as we mentioned last week, Kevin Costner just started production on his second epic Western that he's making.
Yeah.
So he's not, maybe he's just going to dress up in his Western gear from that and film his Yellowstone scenes. He'll break off a week or two. I don't know.
It's not like the show would really struggle in killing him off because
I absolutely 100% think he died.
The writing's so bad they don't have to worry about it. By the way, just a quick shout out to Tierfon Orbital and Derpy.
Thank you,
Entertainment in there talking. Psyched for the Guardians 3 talk coming up. Sounds like it was a pretty impactful movie on them.
Yeah. Look, I'm a bigger fan of Yellowstone than you are, so
I sat through all 4.5 seasons.
You did.
I will probably still watch 1883 and 1923 at some point before you do. So, Well,
so I started 1883, but then I read how 1883 ends, and I have no desire to see it now. 1923, I have a desire to see because I'm a huge fan of Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford. And that is a little closer to this series.
I'll watch Amanda Peet. I'll watch for Amanda Peet.
Is she in 1923?
She is.
Okay. I know he uses a lot of the same actors and brings them in as old, roles, because the girl that's like messing with Jamie's head in Yellowstone is in 1923 also as someone else.
That's weird, but okay.
Right. Right. Well,
it's pretty much anybody that was ever on Sons of Anarchy. He tries to pull in somehow, right?
Yeah. And it's sort of like, I don't know, if you're making a major motion picture and you cast like maybe your wife and your brother and all your friends, and then the entire internet gets upset about it.
Only if you do that over and over and over and over and over again.
Like someone has done over and over and over.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Mortal Kombat 2. Did you see the first one?
I did. It was a great popcorn flick.
Okay.
It was a horrible movie. It was a great popcorn flick.
So Mortal Kombat 2 has possibly cast their Johnny Cage.
I saw a little bit about this. I'm not thrilled with it.
No, it's Carl Urban from The Boys, and he was in Thor and
Star Trek.
He was in Star Trek. He was Dr. McCoy, Judge Dredd, and this is just off the top of my head.
Katie Sackhoff's ex.
Really?
That's what he's really most famous for. They were together for like 10 years.
Oh, wow, I wonder if she sat on his face.
Wow.
Did you see the comment that she made about that?
Look, 2%.
That's 2%. Really not true. It's way higher.
She posted more pictures, and it's really going sideways on her. 2%.
I think she loves it, but the 2% is way, way, way low, especially given the people that followed her to Star Wars from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. I would agree.
I was about her then.
Yeah, look, she's fine. But it got super awkward fast on her Instagram this weekend because it was her and pictures of her and her kid.
Oh,
and it got weird fast with all these 2%ers get together and mount up and weirdness.
I don't read the comments on these.
No, that's where that went sideways on her.
Yeah. So the writer's strike is starting to impact a lot of other stuff. Blade has now been put on pause.
Good riddance. Daredevil Born Again
has stopped filming completely.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't seen that. So
Yeah.
we don't know where they're at.
No. But that's the second strike, the second one.
Reminds me, I forgot to mention, because I did it over the weekend. I finally caught up on Daredevil, to like the most recent comics from.
Okay.
I started the run in like the early 70s.
Oh wow.
I just caught up. So I wanted to see all the major storylines and see what they did. I don't know how any of it translates well to TV.
No.
No, but like they really the psychological damage they do to Matt over and over again is
you had mentioned
crazy.
That before. You had mentioned
it's still going. It's still going. They find ways to like his entire world is destroyed every like 3 years in the comics. Like they crush his entire world. They kill his love interest.
Wow.
He's got to start over from scratch. He can't be a lawyer anymore, and then he has to build himself back up. Then he gets back, and then somebody does it again like a year later. It's crazy.
That seems a repetitive cycle.
It is. It is.
Well,
it's they bring in top talent to do it every time.
Oh, well, that's good.
So, but it's they give him the space for these like couple year long arcs, which I think is what the problem is with where we're at from a comic book standpoint and with the movies and everything, right? Because like you have all this time in the comics to explore these things, and like I prefer reading it as a binge now.
Okay.
Because I have too much other stuff going on to remember for a month what happened in a comic.
Right.
So I have some titles that I still get the latest issue. It's like 30 days later on here. And I have trouble remembering what was in the issue before.
Are you doing hard copies or are you digital?
No, I'm Marvel Unlimited and DC Infinite with my stuff. Because I did this with, if you remember, I did this a year or two ago with The Flash.
Right.
And read every issue of The Flash since Crisis in '84.
Does that include the Trial of the Reverse Flash? It's the only run of Flash I know.
The Trial of the Reverse Flash was actually pre-Crisis. That was right before Barry retired.
Okay.
To the future, which is where he gets pulled out of in the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Gotcha.
But the so with that, but you live with these characters and let it breathe, and you can do snippets and have arcs, and they're only like 22 pages long, right? Versus a show where you have to fill 22 minutes or longer, as all these shows have gotten longer and longer.
Like 22 episode arcs of The Flash.
Yeah. Look, this 13 episode arc feels like it's 700 episodes.
Well, let's move over to that since we again. I'd said at the beginning of the show, I want to dump out pretty quick before 8 because the NHL draft lottery is tonight. The Flyers have like a 6% chance to go from number 7 to number 1, and that's the prize. This is like Lindros, Crosby,
and then it's only another like 10 years till they're good again, right?
Yeah, basically.
Good. Great.
So I am caught up on The Flash as far as I watched last episode. I've skipped about 3, watched the Stephen Amell episode, and then watched this episode. And let me tell you ahead of time, I actually enjoyed this episode.
Did you?
I really actually enjoyed this episode for what they managed to accomplish in this episode.
Okay. So for anybody not keeping up, and you really should. There's only 3 episodes left. Just jump in this past week and you'll be fine.
Go back 1.
So So now we have Barry's getting pulled out of the present, and it looks like it's going to be thrown through a greatest hits of the 9 seasons of The Flash. Yes. Starting off with everybody's favorite, he goes back to when Flashpoint happened.
Right.
It's his first spot that he's pulled back in to finally go head-to-head with Reverse Flash for the first time, for the last time. This
is officially Matt Leshner's final appearance as the Reverse Flash in this TV show. It's not the final Reverse Flash appearance, but it's his final appearance as the Reverse Flash.
Right, because we're definitely going to get Harrison Wells back, Tom Cavanaugh as Reverse Flash again.
Absolutely.
So we had, so he's there, and we go back to the night that we visited so many times because this season, just like the comics, cannot get over this Jeff Johns created moment when Reverse Flash kills Barry's mom.
Right.
And we get Barry watching Barry watching Barry watching Barry.
Right.
At this point, because we've gone back here so many times, he's just there. He's in every room in the house at this point.
Three. Well, so there's old school dark maroon Flash from the first season.
Yeah.
And then you have the next Flash that shows up to stop him.
Yep. Then you have Barry as a kid.
You have Barry as a kid, and then you have the Flash that's fighting the Reverse Flash, which is this Barry.
Yes. As I said, there's definitely 4.
Right. But at the end of this episode, now there's 1.
But now this Barry was there to stop Reverse Flash from killing Barry, and instead gets his mom killed.
Right.
Because he knows that she has to be the one that dies and not him. For no good reason, really. Because if he died, none of this bad stuff happens because nobody's out to kill Barry. So then we're good. We're done. Everything's over. It's great.
Right. Well, this is the fixed point in time, which the Reverse Flash figures out after Barry tries to have the heart-to-heart with him and tell him not to do it. And, he gets the day with his parents as an adult and how his mother doesn't recognize him.
They are determined to continue. I want to know where they left their kid all day. And we're like, come hang out with our little boy, strange guy off the street.
Right. Well, that was weird, okay? The fact that like
they went full on Back to the Future with this episode with that stuff.
They really, really did.
They just really like to continue paying the actress that played his mom because they even have her as the Speed Force because it looks like next week we're going to see her not as Barry's mom, but as the embodiment of the Speed Force again.
I personally enjoyed the episode. This was the first one aside from the Green Arrow episode that I actually sat and was like, okay, this wasn't awful.
You know why?
Great. Why?
This one starred Grant Gustin.
Oh yeah, he was in it a lot.
That's why.
And he
hasn't been in a single episode this season, except for the last 2 weeks.
Not this much.
No, that's been the problem with the show for the last 5 years. He's like barely in the show, even though he's the lead.
And making all that money for it.
Yeah, as soon as they started pulling him out in like season 3 and making it more and more about all of the supporting cast, it really went downhill.
Yeah, don't care about the supporting cast.
There's a reason the show's not called The Flash Crew. It's called Flash.
It's not called Team
or
Flash.
Team Flash, whatever stupid name they've come up with, because God forbid the fastest, most powerful man on the planet actually be able to do anything by himself without his wife helping from the running the console back in the Star Labs.
She's trying to figure it out now. She knows he disappeared.
Sure, we'll get there. 3 episodes. That's all I'm saying.
It's 3 episodes, and this one's over.
Let me do before we get there. So
that's what
quick Superman and Lois, quick Gotham Knights. Superman and Lois continues to actually be pretty well written. The new kid playing Jonathan is fantastic.
Yeah, I like him.
He's way better than the old kid, so I'm actually really happy with that change on there.
The bits that I've seen of this, the only part I don't like is the emo pining over the girlfriend that doesn't want to be with him.
That resolves itself after like 2 episodes.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Good. Because I'm close.
That's quick.
Good. I'm close to that. I'm at the party in Metropolis.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of there's some really odd love things they do because it's a CW show, so they still have to have couples things, whether it be kids or adults, and some weird choices that the show makes with that make zero sense, like 0 sense. But they're leaning into them hard, and it's just because those are the only actors they have, so I get it. And and then we found a different way than usual to bring Clark back into something that he can't fight, and they're doing some neat stuff with reveals and everything around all of the villains and how that's all intertwined and everything. So it's continues to be one of the better written shows on here.
Good.
And then Gotham Knights, just because our boy Maddie wants me to touch on it every week. Gotham Knights is still not as good as Gotham, as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep wanting to go back every week to see where they're going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they focused on the Gotham Knights that are now officially the new vigilante crew in Gotham. That's a bunch of criminals, really, that just help because they're all criminals are good people at heart based on this show, apparently, except for the Court of Owls. They're all dicks. But other than that, they're all good people at their core.
Of course.
But they do keep doing some fun stuff with the girl playing Joker's daughter. She's great. And then they're pulling in. I think they focus too much on Harvey Dent, but I feel like that's a flaw that the comics have come into the last 15 years or so.
Okay.
Where they really got obsessed ever since Batman Year One,
right?
With having that Harvey Dent pre Two-Face. And every show has been really obsessed with making him pre Two-Face and like the good guy and watching him slowly go crazy.
Right.
It's not that interesting.
No.
It's been done 1,000 times, but that's what they really focused in on this show from a Harvey standpoint, and him being kind of like the old guy, because the CW has to have a bunch of young kids and then a couple old people.
Of course,
he's the old person they focus on, which is kind of boring.
Yeah. Still not interested in watching it.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, I'll watch the next 4 episodes till it's canceled.
Well, they already canceled it, right?
Nope, not yet.
I thought they did.
Not official.
Oh, well, they're not writing any new ones.
CW upfronts will be in like a month.
Yeah, well, it's almost assuredly going to get canceled now if there's with the writer's strike on. They're not going to be able to write any new episodes.
Yeah, everything will be canceled. We're gonna look. I just saw Severance it just got held up halfway through the season, which is not good.
Good for me to go back and start it at some day.
Deadpool, no improving. He's not going to be allowed to improv in Deadpool 3. They're filming right now. He's not allowed to improv lines.
Wait, what? No way.
Yeah, because he's in the Writers Guild. He writes the movies. So he's not allowed to make changes to the script by doing improv, which has always been the best parts of the Deadpool movies.
Oh, push pause on the goddamn movie. I don't want to. Oh, yuck.
Yeah, there's huge impacts on there. And one of the things I sent you right before this today.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at it.
Netflix had tried building into their agreement that anybody who does animation work for Netflix and voiceover work, Netflix is allowed to reproduce their voice with whatever technology is available.
Oh.
So anybody that comes in reads for Netflix, once Netflix can then use their voice using an AI system to do whatever they want with it.
That's not good.
So that's part of the big fights and going into streaming, and especially this new tech. And this new tech came out at just the right time for the WGA.
Is this that Chat GPT and all the AI writing?
Yeah, and Bard and all these. Well, not even just that, but like what they're doing with Luke and the deepfakes and everything, right? Like, as a company, if you've had somebody talk before, you have enough things recorded. They even the Darth Vader stuff in Obi-Wan Kenobi wasn't James Earl Jones now.
Oh, he hasn't been Darth. I don't think he's recorded new lines in years.
So, but it was new dialogue,
right?
That they went and snipped from here and there, and then they used all of that. They fed through an AI to now speak as Darth Vader.
Wow.
So that's
crazy.
Artists have to agree to that, but the problem is they shouldn't have to agree to it. If you see, know what I mean with the difference there, right? Like,
with that, I mean, I guess that would fall under paying them like residuals, right? Like every time Star Wars shows on TBS, all those actors get some dollars for it, right?
If they're listed as producers.
Really? Not the actors don't?
No, actors wouldn't continue to get paid by every time they do screens. The studio does.
Okay.
Gotcha. Unless they have a cut of the profit share, right? Which
right.
In 1977, there's no way those actors in Star Wars had any of that, right?
No, only George Lucas did that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things for them to consider with this WGA. And the last time they redid the agreement in full was back in 2007 when the internet was just starting to be a thing.
Right, and that lasted.
There wasn't even streaming. Well, so they last 3 years. Each agreement's a 3-year agreement with the WGA. No, I mean
the strike lasted.
Well, the strike lasted 3 months last time and destroyed. We talked about it last week a little bit. Destroyed multiple shows.
Yep.
On TV, and movies got held up and canceled and all sorts of things.
I wonder how long it's going to last this time, because there's a lot of stuff that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they could film that has been written, but you can't do rewrites. So if you were
something's not working, you're shit out of luck.
Right. Like you were saying about the improv. Like, as we're going to get into in Guardians in a minute here, the curse, the big, it's not a spoiler, it's been in every commercial. That was an improv.
Right.
And that was something that James Gunn, who we've seen in interviews now, has said that he had Chris Pratt had an earpiece or whatever, and James Gunn was giving him, feeding him stuff and improv here or improv, and that's a completely improv line that worked, and I mean it was pretty funny.
Well, it's the same thing they did with Peacemaker with the scene when John Cena just started improv and James Gunn was just feeding him stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So before we jump into that real fast, obviously James Gunn is the talk of Hollywood right now. and he was asked he was asked on Twitter if any cast members from Guardians of the Galaxy will be in his Superman movie, and he said yes. I believe he's going to try to find roles for most of them, and probably his wife.
Well, his wife is going to be part of the DCU going forward. He did not cast her in that, though, according to him.
Peacemaker?
According to him. Well, no, but she was in the Suicide Squad.
Right.
He says he did not cast her in that because they weren't married yet, but I think they were together. But maybe they met then. I don't know.
Dude.
Yeah, so I don't need the rest of them. Like I
don't care.
We're let's just we're spoiling Guardians already, but we're not going to spoil plot points just yet. But the amount of cameos and people in this movie took me out of the movie so many times that like it's exhausting to me. Him just casting his friends all the time, like Palm Clementoff and Suicide Squad, did not distract me. I mean, she did for other reasons, but but not as just because she was in it. You know what I mean? But I think he tends to go overboard with his friends. Like Tiffany Smith being on screen for a second totally took me out of that scene.
So I personally don't have a problem with that because, again, I'm a big fan of. Look, if Chris Pratt's Superman, I'm not watching it, and I like Chris Pratt.
If Henry Cavill is too old to be Superman,
yeah,
Chris Pratt is too old to be Superman.
I don't mind. So I know the internet had a huge problem with Jennifer Holland being in it and with all these other Nathan Fillion and all these. I don't have as much a problem with that. I mean, God, his brother is not just on screen, but does behind the scenes stuff and voices. His brother voiced Baby Rocket. That was his brother.
It was his other brother.
One of his brothers. I don't know.
It wasn't Sean. Sean didn't do that.
But of all, I don't, because I like Adam Sandler movies, and Adam Sandler casts the same 12 people in every movie.
True.
And they're usually pretty funny, if not really stupid, but they go all the way around from stupid to kind of really funny. And that's just to me, but I like that stupid humor. So now, we'll get into the whole movie itself. And we're going to spoil Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm going to throw up the little banner there.
Baby Rocket was actually Noah Raskin.
Oh. Brother-in-law?
Well, no. Sean is Rocket.
Right. He mocaps him.
He mocaps him on screen, so he is playing Rocket the Raccoon. Okay. Oh, he mocapped young Rocket this time.
That's what it was. Okay. So here we are. We're 28 minutes into the podcast. So if you're listening to the reposting of the podcast, or if you're watching it again, now we're going to go completely all in, spoil the hell out of this movie. If you haven't seen it, this is your warning to get out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to ask you first what you thought of it.
Why do you do this to yourself?
Because I know where it's going. We've already talked. I know where you're going, and I've revised a little bit how I feel, but I have some other stuff that I want to. Go ahead.
Look, it was in my opinion, obviously, right? Not everybody will agree. I know there's plenty of people in the chat that were emotionally overtaken and broken down and loved it and thought it was fantastic. It was fine. It was the best Marvel movie we've had since Endgame, but that's not saying a whole lot. I thought a lot of it was it goes back to where we've been at where when we got to the third act, what continues to happen with these Marvel movies, at least in these last few iterations, there's like no stakes. So it loses me where we don't have nothing has consequences, right? Like that was what they made such a big deal about the first 23 Marvel movies. It's like stuff has consequences sometimes, and like people can die and end, and like and that's going to be what happens in this world. And it's going to be a little more grounded than you get in the comics, where everybody always gets out of everything, right? They've completely blown that off now. And I was like really excited for like Peter Quill to die at the end. I was like, oh my God, this is great. There's actually going to be something happen. We'll see a little bit after that. And no, can't do that. But the story overall is we got a resolution to everything, which thankfully it did actually advance the story, which like hasn't happened in a long time. So hey, Blue Hawk, Mario 45G, nice seeing you.
Thank you guys for coming over. Thank you, Dom, for pushing it.
So that's where with this, I thought there was some good stuff in there. Like I said, good storyline, but there was still missing something for me. I checked my watch. Like there was a lot of bloat in here. It could have been like a tight 2 hours and been amazing. But it was like a lot of like, hey, I need to get this other person's cameo in. Let me do that. And then the trailers also did a lot of the funny stuff already. But so I would not give it an 8.5. I did not cry in this at all. I cried in Dungeons and Dragons. Did not cry when I saw Guardians 3 though.
All right. So I originally came out of it and hit a 7.5, and that's what I posted on Facebook. And I was, and then I went and I did a little bit more reading about it, and I gave it a lot of thoughts about it. I did get teared up a couple of times. I will admit that the animal stuff really did get to me a little bit because animal lover, and that stuff was definitely touched a spot. I give it a good 8.5 overall. The problems I had with the movie were the length was a little long. Like you said, it resolved so many, if not every single character in that Guardians team that was there. It resolved all of their arcs, I think. And like you said, it did open up new avenues. And Dylan, I was going to bring this up too. And as Dylan points out, the High Evolutionary was the most evil villain we had in Marvel because he had no motivations that we could side with. His line, "There is no God, that's why I stepped in," was powerful. I agree. This was one of the better Marvel villains overall.
And what did we do to him at the end? He's dead.
Is he dead?
It's a Marvel movie.
Right.
That's what happened. They're on a mission to run out of villains.
Is
what they are, and just make anti-heroes.
The biggest issue I had was I felt he overused songs. I felt that he was shoehorning a song in every single second that he could. Whereas the first two movies, it was done really well. Right?
I feel like this is Jen, whatever her name's influence, because it's a completely different style of music than we've ever seen from him.
Well, it's so he's brought the music forward a little bit each time, year-wise, for the most part. And I wanted to go back and I wanted to see if I was right about this, and I was. So the first Guardians movie had 12 songs.
Mm-hmm.
That was the soundtrack. The second movie, he bumped it up to 14 songs.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, he bumped it up to 17 songs. It's a lot of songs. And all of those songs at some point appear in the movie.
And none of them were like unknown. Look, I wonder what this song is. Like they were mostly all pretty big tunes. I mean, even during the movie, it still jumped decades and obviously extended through, right? Like you get some of the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah. There were some songs I didn't recognize. And one thing I found that's pretty funny, or not pretty funny, but pretty cool, was of all three movies, every single song that he wanted to use, he got but one. There was one song. And that's, you're talking, 10, 20, 30, almost 40 songs?
Over 40, yeah.
There was one song, Russian Roulette by Lords of the New Church, is the only song he couldn't get. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, they were holding out for a bigger movie, I guess.
Right. That now Dom pointed out, and this was one of my favorite. I enjoyed this scene a lot too. The hallway fight scene, the no sleep till Brooklyn. That was a one shot, and Dom mentioned
it was all blue screen. Like
yeah, but it like Dom mentioned this when he gave his little review about how usually, and Marvel does this, they'll cut too much in a fight, and the fact that it wasn't all cut up was a good thing. Like you're not getting a cut every couple of seconds. Like
no, they took all of the blue screen footage and edited into one big shot. It wasn't like a Daredevil hallway stairwell fight.
Are you sure?
Well, I'm pretty sure that wasn't all practical effects in there.
Oh well, no, that's true.
Right, like none of it was practical effects.
So overall,
because that did come through in the movie a lot too. Like the amount of green screen and the amount, like it's starting to show in general. Oh, and you went to see Ant-Man in the theater too, by the way.
That's right, I did. Thank you.
Like 2 months ago.
That was forgettable.
It's clearly. So yeah, so look, that's where we're like, I totally forgot that was the movie in between Black Panther and this one.
Same.
And I'm still, from the trailers before it, I'm still more excited about the Marvels than I was for this one. Because you know, I think this. I enjoyed it. I thought some of the fight scenes were really cool. That was a good fight scene, Dom, for sure. The hallway one there. I thought some of the ones earlier. My favorite one was the one on the platform at the High Evolutionaries, big pyramid with Groot and Star-Lord. That was what I wanted. Like
where he pulls all the guns out.
Yeah, that multiple times would have been great.
So now Dylan points out that he thought Drax was going to die the whole time and was banking on him, Nebula, or Manus dying in this one. I didn't think Nebula was going to die. I did think that Drax was going to die, and I actually thought for a moment that Rocket was going to die because of the way they were setting the trailers up.
Yeah, that's what I said. Why I was disappointed at the end when it was like, well, there was drama and there was like that, but there was like still no stakes. And maybe it's. So, as a fan of The Walking Dead, we all know you love your zombie movies, right? And your zombie shows.
Love them.
The thing with that show was, and maybe that's more the parallel I should have drawn earlier than to Marvel movies, but like that show established early on, like we will kill off main characters and we will advance the storyline however we need to. By the time the show dipped in quality, which was season 8, right? Mm-hmm. They stopped killing off main characters for the next like 3 years.
Right.
Until like the very end, and then there was like a little bit of one. But you lost that surprise and that unexpected, like, oh, you actually did something.
Right.
And that's where I feel like we've gotten to with Marvel. Like every Marvel movies, even this one, which, you know, even though written by James Gunn, they're all still the same damn movie over and over and over, all of them. And it might be me getting superhero fatigue that's out there. Like I'm starting to get burned out because they're not taking all these great complex story arcs that you get in the comics, and again, that you get spread out over a year or two. They're trying to cram like 2-3 years of comics into a 2.5 hour movie, and you don't get the time to explore the nuances, and you just have like character development. It's like, well, wait, how did we get there? Like, I would have loved to have seen more of the stuff of how Nebula changed than just like, wow, Nebula is way different than she was before.
Right.
Why?
She and Gamora flip roles basically, and
but like getting to see that would have been awesome.
And they hinted. So here's a couple of quick things. They hinted. There's a lot of fan theories that her arm was Bucky's arm. It wasn't. No. Rocket apparently worked with Tony Stark, and that's more nanotechnology like his suits. So that's cool. The ending thing where everybody hears Groot finally say words where he says, "I love you guys." The theory that went out, James Gunn confirmed that he actually didn't say anything other than "I am Groot," but the audience is now family and are able to understand what he says. If you understand what I mean. That's why
I saw that. We're now.
Gamora couldn't understand the whole movie, and once she finally,
Exactly, Dylan. Because who else but Dom Toretto would let us all in as family?
I fucking love you so much for that. I do. I absolutely love you. So a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are ranking this in the top 5 Marvel movies ever, right? So here's what I want to do with you. We're gonna go through the phases real fast. I'm not gonna list every single movie.
Well, I think we're up to. Is this 30? Is this number 30?
It might be. It might be.
I feel like we've had seven clunkers since.
Is this movie better than anything in Phase 1?
Than anything in Phase 1?
In Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America.
It's better than the Incredible Hulk movie.
And Marvel's The First Avenger. Is this movie better than any of those?
Yeah, it's better than the Hulk.
Okay.
And Thor.
Okay. Fair. That first Thor movie was rough.
But the
Avengers, Captain America.
Yeah, no, like I will watch Avengers every day.
Iron Man and Iron Man 2.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Iron Man 2 is questionable.
Definitely better than Thor. Yes, agreed. Okay.
Yeah.
So in phase 2, is it better than Iron Man 3? Everything's better than Thor: The Dark World. Winter Soldier, Original Guardians, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man. Is it better than those?
No.
Okay. Well,
Maybe better than 8. Look, the thing was, so the different lens, right, is back then all of those were setting up the next thing.
Right.
I didn't feel like this was setting me up for a new Guardians movie. This was just setting me up for like, all right. And then, I mean, the last thing I needed was Star-Lord will return. I'm like, yay, my least favorite Guardian. Yay.
So it's really not better than a lot in phase 2.
No, I mean Dark World, yeah, I'll give you that.
Right, Dark World.
And that's really it in
phase 3 has the most.
I don't think it's better than anything in phase 3.
I don't think it's
except for maybe Captain Marvel.
Is it better than Volume 2?
Yes, but that's because Volume 2 was actually really bad.
Ragnarok was the better of the Thor, so Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp?
No, because I appreciate. Is it better? It is better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah.
Okay. Captain Marvel. You didn't like Captain Marvel that much.
I didn't. I think this is better than that. I don't. Long term, I don't know if I'll think this is better than that. But
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And then in the multiverse saga,
everything in Phase 4 is better than everything in Phase 4.
Okay.
Including Black Panther.
Is it better than Eternals though?
I like
actually. It's not better than everything in the multiverse saga because Spider-Man: No Way Home is better than.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, and look, and actually, the Eternals not as horrible a movie as we all decided it was.
Is this better than Wakanda Forever?
In my opinion, yeah.
Okay. And then in Phase 5, all we've gotten is Ant-Man and the Quantumania, and it's definitely better than that.
And yeah, that movie was awful. I will to go back to Dylan's thing earlier. So with the High Evolutionary, it's for me. I've been familiar with that character since the Evolutionary War, which was a summer annual. Because Marvel used to have these summer annual runs where it was every different book would have some big crossover between all of the different Marvel books, and it would just go through their annuals. So it would stay out of the regular storylines and just run for the summer. So you'd have to go buy all their expensive annuals.
Yep.
But the Evolutionary War was one summer, and it got into him coming to Earth and finding and how he was going to get to the next stage of the race. And he had created Wundagore, which was the village that had raised Pietro and Wanda, and was all like the animals. So it was all the cows that were people and all that kind of stuff. And then he was trying to continue to evolve the rest of the Earth. Right. So I've been familiar with the character for a long time. So his motivations have never changed as far as that goes. I thought some of the takes on it were interesting. I'm glad. I thought he was great. The actor who I'm not even going to try with his name.
Oh, wait, I will. Hold on.
That apparently now it might be in talks to be Kang.
No, there's another guy that's in talks to be Kang.
Oh.
The guy that was in Peacemaker, right?
That's the High Evolutionary.
Right. That's the guy you're not saying his name?
Yes.
Chukwudi?
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
That's what you're going with.
Yeah.
Chukwudi Uji. Yeah, that's right. I just didn't feel like looking it up. But yeah, I thought he was great. He got a little screamy by the end though, which was weird. Like they set him up, as Dylan said earlier, as this like huge big bad with no no real thing to stop him, nothing to hold him back. And then he gets into where it's just like, I'm gonna yell, and like he wasn't scary anymore. He just seemed like a brat. Towards the end is where it started to evolve into, which I wish they would have done more as we went through.
He definitely screamed a lot. A lot of his lines were him screaming. Yes, as Dom said. Here, wait, real fast. This is hilarious. Okay. I knew there was a guy specifically that I had seen a couple of times hanging on to be Kang. If Jonathan Majors isn't. This list from this website, the first person they listed is Javier Bardem. Yes.
Oh.
No, this is not a good. John David Washington, I could see that. I like him a lot. He was in Ballers. That's where I know him from.
Yeah.
Also in that Christopher Nolan movie. Giancarlo Esposito, no.
No.
John Boyega, no.
Hey, so before we get we didn't talk about one of the main characters.
Oh yeah, please.
So we didn't talk about Adam Warlock.
Oh,
or the fact that one of the recorder guys, the one whose thing recorded the stuff about Rocket they took out of his head, was one of the stars of Superstore. Which I didn't realize the whole time.
Oh, really?
Did you ever watch Superstore?
No, but I know of it.
It was Nico Santos from Superstore. If nobody watched Superstore and ever worked in retail, go watch Superstore.
And Dom, I was going to say that too, but what did you think? What did you think of
Adam? Hold on. To Dom's point, real quick with the Ezra. If Ezra can still Flash, Majors can stay as Kang. The Flash was shot and $300 million already spent on it. They've only shot Loki season 2. They can easily replace him as a variant, and if all this stuff had happened with Ezra before they were done filming the Flash, Ezra would not be the Flash still.
By the way, the more, again, I don't want to go off on this, but the more I see trailers for this, and I have to stop watching because I feel like they're spoiling the whole movie, the more I'm kind of a little bit more excited for it.
Well, it's good. I'm less excited every time I see one.
Well, go ahead. Back to so you wanted to. So Adam Warlock, what did you think about?
Yeah, so not my Adam Warlock. That hurt the movie for me too.
Yeah.
As Adam Warlock being one of the most wise and kind of omnipotent kind of characters, and like a mystic, and like the one guy who can beat Thanos. And like an all-powerful being who like what had an Infinity Stone in his head, and was one of the one of the biggest, most powerful cosmic characters in Marvel. Did not get that from whiny brat trying to make his mom happy.
Well, you also understand that the High Evolutionary pulled him out of his cocoon early, so he hasn't gotten a chance to evolve to that yet, right?
I get that.
Okay.
I thought Will Poulter was great in the role. I appreciated the other role. It was just weird that he, towards the end, was like, "Hey guys, let me in." Is kind of the vibe you started to get halfway through. Like, I want to be part of the cool kid group, which was weird for that character to me, knowing that character and some of the choices they made from a character standpoint with Adam Warlock.
So that character has an Infinity Stone in the comics. What are they going to do now?
Well, that character was also like the key to the Infinity Gauntlet saga.
Gotcha.
Because he had the Soul Stone was his.
Gotcha.
Even in Superhero Squad, which my 3-year-old continues to watch, Adam Warlock is a main character in that with the Soul Stone and taking people in, and like that's where he would, when people would die, he would save them into the Soul Stone and had this whole other world where people would live in the Soul Stone in this other plane of existence.
Gotcha.
And they did a lot of that, like I said, like big cosmic rival to Thanos in the comics. So it's weird to see him in this role as like, hey, I'm just doing what I'm told, guys. Just to, it was a weird take on the character for me. If I didn't know anything about, and with all this stuff, right? If I didn't know anything about the comics or all the characters and didn't have all this time with them, I probably would have given it like an 8 or a 9. Right. But I continue to run into, well, I've had 30 years to think about what I would do with Drax and Gamora and Nebula. And since I read the Infinity Gauntlet, they were all main characters in there. And then to see the new take and be like, do I like the new take? I don't know if I like it better than the old take, but it's a take.
So going forward, whoever picks up this new team, if they keep that as the new team, do they ruin it? Or do you think...
I don't think they pick up the team. Like, I don't know where Peter's going to return. I would assume it's going to be in Kang Dynasty. When they start bringing people back. Or it'll be in Secret Wars.
I mean, he's on Earth now, so anything can...
I think my problem is I don't find what they've done with his character, I don't find interesting at all. Like, I don't find the Star-Lord character compelling. I mean, he even in this movie talks about, hey, when I kind of went crazy for a minute and cost half the universe their lives, haha. Like,
well, so on that, before we go, did you see what the Russos said about that? They were pissed. Not pissed, but they were very unhappy with the character choice, and that's why that joke's in there. Is because if
not the Russos, James Gunn.
James Gunn, that's who it was. I'm sorry, not the Russos. James Gunn wasn't happy with what the Russos did with having Peter lose his shit like that, because they said that his character would not have done that under him.
Right. That's kind of skewed my view of the character. But other than that, like I said, like when he's being a badass, he's great. But all the rest of the time, it's not compelling to me. The video game version of him way more interesting than this version.
I haven't played that yet.
Yeah, I know it's on the list.
No,
it's a great game.
No. Also, real fast side note, I finished Jedi Survivor.
Oh, that's why you didn't watch finish other stuff.
Partially, yes.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, look, overall, best movie from Marvel since No Way Home for sure, and one of the top 2 since Endgame. I will give it that for sure.
Okay,
but still has opportunities. Marvel's still not back to where they were.
No, and I don't know how much this writer strike's going to hurt that. Like, so we're getting Secret Wars and the Marvels this year. They're done and in
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. I'm sorry, and
Echo and Loki season 2 is in the can already.
Right.
Echo should already be in the can. It's just editing, so that shouldn't be impacted by the writer strike.
Right, unless they have to come back in and re-record lines or something.
But I haven't heard that any of the Marvel movies slated for next year are done filming yet.
No,
which is way off for them.
Mm.
So can't wait for that last minute special effects work to happen.
Well, they have a new special effects head, so
sure,
maybe it's better. Sure. Look, we got 3 more episodes of The Flash. We've got 4 more episodes of Ted Lasso, thankfully.
Yeah, which we didn't even talk about last week's, which I meant to mention that earlier. No.
Oh, no, you didn't.
No.
Well, real fast before we go. So we're out of the Guardians thing, so we can shut that off. What did you think of last week's episode, now that you finally got to watch it?
It was long again.
Yeah, they're all long, man. It's
I thought it was an interesting stance to take on the internet leak. I don't know why they needed to go that route. It's really continues to not know what the identity of the show is anymore. Like it continues to go away from what everybody fell in love with the show for.
Well, that's because Jason Sudeikis is running the show now, not the person that was running it before. Like, he's got full control over it now.
Got it. Well, it's him and Beard have always been 2 of the top 3.
Right, but there was someone else guiding it.
Got it. Who went off and he's doing other Apple shows now.
Yeah.
But and it continues to get darker in its look and kind of skewed more and more, and it's what we all loved about it to begin with. I still think it's a great show.
Mm-hmm.
I just, some of their decisions they continue to make are kind of weird. And I don't know I don't know who they're redeeming and why, because I can tell they have redemption arcs going.
So I think here's my quick thoughts before we go. The Keeley thing happened because they're going to get Keeley back to Roy.
I think to Jamie.
No, I think if you put Keeley back with Jamie, it completely destroys every bit of growth Jamie has had over the last 2 seasons.
But it doesn't. All right, it makes him worthy of Keeley finally after 2 years. When originally you were like, he's not right for her. Now he is, because he's growing, right?
I think she ends up with Roy. I could be wrong. I do not think that Rebecca and Ted end up together. I think Ted gets back with his wife, and I think Nate absolutely is redeemed by the end of the season.
See, I continue to not be interested in the Nate storyline. They're jamming.
I'm not interested in Nate, but I believe by the end of the season, I believe that Richmond's going to win the cup, because you have to at this point.
I don't know if they can.
Richmond's going to win the cup. Thank you, Dom. Thank you guys for who all showed up from that Dom posted out to us. I think Richmond wins the cup. I think Ted goes back to America to be with his family, and Nate comes in as the coach with Beard and Roy as like a good, redeemed person.
Maybe. I look, I still have problems with the entire Nate storyline of this most recognized and well-off coach in all of England just about, and the Premier League is just chasing after a hostess at a Greek restaurant. That makes 0 sense to me.
Well, it's because he's down to earth, and he's really just a down to earth human.
No, it's not. That's
what I thought.
No, he had a supermodel. Like, come on.
He realized how shallow she was, and he wanted someone.
The hostess wouldn't even talk to him, blew him off forever.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Priorities.
I have that problem too sometimes.
I know. You're batting them off with a stick. It's fine.
Like, imagine.
So there's your clip for this week.
Oh boy.
So that's yeah. I enjoy Ted Lasso a lot though, and I'm excited to see where they finish everything up.
Samesies.
So hey, if you watch this week, thanks as always for tuning in. Make sure you tell a friend, tell them to tune in next week if you're listening. And thank you as always. Make sure you drop us a rating on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen, and a review so more people can find us. And thanks for finding the Geek Spot with us.
Thank you, everyone.